this is a logo. We are talking about a company's brand value. And if I also say the phrase "I am loving it," what brand does you associate it with? You would say McDonald's, because the phrase, it also related to the branding of that company. So phrases, logos, even the tunes like "Har Ek Friend Jaruri Hota Hai," Britannia, Sting Ting Tinning, all these tunes are also basically trademarked because they associated themselves with certain products or brands behind them. So this on this screen right now is a camera design which we are using for maybe shooting today's video also. So what's this camera design about? So this camera design is basically falling under, if you look at the design aspect, it will fall under industrial design. But if you talk about the entire technology, the arrangement of lenses and things like that, it would fall under patents. Next, 5.someone, this is a book. So books fall under, yes, copyrights. And then last, if we talk about the secret formulas, they would fall under trade secrets, because nobody knows as of now exactly what Coca-Cola use in their composition. Another way of remembering a secret formula could be, let's say, the KFC's recipe that makes chicken so delicious for them. Next in line, we could also talk about, let's assume this is a mustache device, which somebody uses this device to kind of sharpen the mustache. So which is this device? So of course this would also fall under the patents area. And next, if we talk about this painting, and the painting is once again content, so and this will fall under copyrights. Next we have phone, this would fall under patents or designs if you're talking about patent designs, and this logo would go under trademark. So as we pause in a little here to help you digest, so we talk about patents, trademarks, copyrights, geographical indication as the key IPR rights that you could own for the startups or the things that you're creating. So before we move to the next section, this is, for example, design patent somewhere. What I've also learned in my 12 years of entrepreneurship journey is you should socialize a lot. I mean, you should talk to a lot of people from the same business areas, from the different business areas. Try and imbibe how they have solved a certain problem and how they are finding towards it. So going further, once you have an idea, which is of course sometimes difficult task. I have taken a lot of sessions with young entrepreneurs, and this is what I often tell to them, that idea creation could be easily plotted on the terms of quality that an idea has when you're thinking to solve a problem and the time it needs to generate such a good idea. So how it starts is like this. So when we start thinking, let's take an example. Let's say I want to plan after this lockdown is over, I want to plan my vacation. What's the first place I want to go? So the minute you start talking with your friends, with your family, the most obvious things start coming up. So I'm in Chandigarh right now. So for us, for example, Shimla is very nearby. It's like 4 hours from here. So the minute I say something like, where should we go? My family would say, let's go to Shimla. So that's, of course, the relevant idea. It took less time to come up, but no, I have visited there multiple times. So does my family. And then we, kind of hit a bottom where we are, more time is being spent and we are not able to find a good location. And, some ideas are coming, some of us are kind of declining it, and the things and the thoughts go over for some time. Sometimes we give up, sometimes the discussion rolls over. Gradually what happens is, after spending some time, you get something more novel. Of course, it may not be as relevant as it seems, like the Shimla example, but this could be a small town in the foothills of Himalayas which is less explored. It's more novel to go there, and it took us time basically to decipher or to reach that idea. This happens in every ideation stage, to be often. So the important thing you should learn from here is give time. Take some time when you are solving a particular problem. Get via this curve and get something very novel out of it. On the right hand side of the screen, what you would see here is that some of the ideas needs time to diffuse. Again, let's understand this with the help of an example. Remember the time when e-commerce started, maybe 7-8 years back. How many of us are actually confident that we could go to the Flipkart or Amazon and start buying stuff? To be very honest, people were very afraid. Would we get genuine products or not? Would that yield value for my money? Would I get something totally fake? Will they take my money? They will not deliver me the product, and all those stuff and all those fear was there in somebody's mind. Now, what happens was, imagine that you were in a class, a group of friends and family. There were, of course, a couple of people who always take that initial risk. So these are the people, we call as innovators. These are the people who stand in queue when the new iPhone launched. They stand over the whole night to grab their first iPhone. They're the risk takers. They're the innovators who want to rely on a product without the market getting tested. So for any startup, any entrepreneur to get this is a challenge. And then comes the next 13.5% of the population, which we call as early adopters. So when the e-commerce industry grown, what happened was there were people, let's assume we were in a class of 50 people. After the first 3, 4 have done it, then comes the next 5, 7 people who were, the early adopters of the technology. They saw the first 2 people, were very happy. They got good discounts. They were not cheated, and they jumped in. They also started using e-commerce. Then, when 5, 7, 8 people have in the class have done, 20 jumps, 25 people jump in from the whole class. And that's like saying that about half of my class is using e-commerce, and it of course took a few years before a lot of people relied over it. And then when everybody saw that 50% of people around me are buying it, the late majority jumped in. And then there are of course people who never ever go to e-commerce, and they are the laggards. We call them as laggards. So this is how the law of diffusion of innovation happens. This is how, if you are doing some startups, if you are finding the solution and want to sell it, it has to go to the same diffusion curve, and that's how it would go about it. And then there is important key thing that I would also like to share with you. If we kind of value the impact versus the time that is there to find an idea or to get an idea into the market, how should we go about it? So what we do is there are low to high impact idea, and once again everything, time is money in business. So there is low to high amount of time that is going into it. So if, for example, if I am getting something which has low impact on my business, and the time of course is taking less, that is not of my priority. If the impact is low, if the idea quality is not that good, and you think it is going to take you several months or maybe years to develop it, no, this is not the right time. You can go out of cash much before a low impact idea of yours could even come to the market. So you should of course diffuse such ideas as an entrepreneur. Then there are, of course, ideas which are high impact factor, but of course time is gonna be also high. So they are very good for long term because of course the impact that they could leave to the market is good. So you should never ignore them. But then as a startup, as an entrepreneur, you want to first roll out something that you could start generating revenue with, or you can start paying back your investors with, or you start paying salaries to your employees. And then these are the ideas you should definitely work at. Next thing that you should also realize is that the very good ideas are the one which is less time consuming, and of course they have high impact. These are the ideas that we should always go for. So whenever now you're ideating next, when you are creating some innovation, when you're thinking from some idea, that's the metrics that you need to keep in mind. Now, once the ideation phase has been over, of course you need to talk to a lot of people. You need to do a lot of maths and R&D to see if it is market-wise feasible or not. We assume once you reach to that phase, then comes the legal aspects of any startups. And with legal, because I come from an intellectual property rights background, we specialize in patents. So I would say IPR is something very important that any startup, any entrepreneur should definitely care about. So the next few minutes we'll be spending upon understanding very quickly IP at a glance. So then there are patents, there are trademarks, there are copyrights, there are geographical indication, and there are industrial designs. Patents are something which are given for